Well, I was certainly not expecting such a distinguished guest at my humble outpost here. Some heads up would have been nice. And my rangers just let you up. Typical. Well, you're here now. Can I help you? Besides the usual encroaching wilds and angry primordials, you mean? Well, there are the Trantons. Or there were. We have you to thank for that, don't we? Ah, remind me not to get on your bad side. Now, I really must be returning to my duties. Safe travels to you. These wilds aren't going to watch themselves.
Ugh. Give me a moment. I'll join you in gawking at the view when my legs stop swearing at me.
We have been here before. The distant winds breathe soft across your skin, too? Cold fog pools in a valley, dripping down from the hips of the mountains. The haze obscures a murder. Now, our memory is a wound, reopened. It didn't have to die. Twin stars fall through night and collide beside the sea. Nekad and Enhekala. The arc of one bright light obliterates the other. You are Enhekala, a Tabaru Sinakis. You speak for the garden, and for us, the gardener. You have not seen Nekad for 10 years on the day you come to blows. Which memory of him is true? Your relationship was often complicated. But who was Nekad to us in Hekala? Help us to remember. Nekad, your pole star, a piercing luminance toward which your access could not help but point. Always ahead of you. Always out of reach. Did you hate him? his weaknesses like a favorite line of verse, and through them, you overcame him. He taught us too. What did Nikad learn from us? You should both have been afraid. There was a disaster. In a temple, we did something terrible. Many of our people died. It was why you built it, Naku Tedek. But in Hekala, what did we do? The fire took a village with it. We recall a shard of memory. A blinding crash threw us from bed. We stumbled to the street. A line of fire marched across the way out. No escape. We looked with horror upon what we had done. How could you bear to speak to us? Your pride only shamed us more. What havoc had we wrought before that this disaster would bring you joy? After the crisis passed, the people wailed in agony. Did the dead forever wander the nothing of the in-between? You proposed an easy road for their souls to travel on, Naku Tedek, where you returned the dying to the Adra and their bodies to the soil. Hiding, seeking, finding, revealing. We should like that to be our way. Yet Nikad, your rival, opposed Naku Tedek's construction with his every breath and word. How could he despise your mission? We do not remember why. Preserving the old ways was the hinge Nikad's life turned upon. Without his purpose, he would have been lost for how to live. Your rival, Nikad, was a storykeeper, and our people's stories say that your souls are wild things. Your souls leave your bodies and run free across the land to enter death and return to life in their own time. So it has been. And so Nikad believed it should always be. Why did you betray him? Trust, faith, willingness to concede that others might know best. This is what preoccupied you. We remember now. When he finally saw Naku Tedek and understood what you had built, what did Nikad do? You threatened him with violence. He wept and begged to know why you stole true reincarnation from the people. His tears shone. He did not wait for you to answer. He pulled a knife from his belt. The torchlight flickered on the steel. He held it to your throat. What did you do, Enhekala, when your rival threatened your life? We remember. Steel on steel, a spurt of blood, a sound of pain. You stood over him and wept. Could he have been right about you? One more thing, Enhekala. What did you feel as he died? You planted a tree near Naku Tedek to remember him by. As it grew, we learned that we should not pass judgment, but observe. We twine together. We reach for the sky. We grow. We grow. We grow.
I only carry the freshest.
Giata's causing trouble at the governor's mansion again.
You must admit she has a point. We should do something about the Dream Scourge. Not simply wait for it to pass.
Be careful with that kind of talk. The governor has ears all over town.
What can I... Ah, a pleasure to Back again?
Something the matter? I hope none of my colleagues scared you off. I hope you had an enlightening visit at the corpse farm. Elia is one of my favorite neighbors, second only to Kulichi. When her best farmhand got stuck up a tree, I got him down in one piece. Well, several pieces. I've always looked up to her. I hate to admit it, but I saw that one coming. Those two don't get out much. When Ignacy took away their research funding, I pulled some strings to get it back. He told me I was a fool, but they'll prove him wrong someday. I have faith. Don't do anything I wouldn't do.
Ignacy's mother is very ill. Please, don't disturb her anymore.
My mother is very sick. I'll thank you not to disturb her. I knew I heard someone snooping about. And you have the gall to confront me like a common criminal. This conversation is over. That is not a topic for discussion. I'll hear no more of this. You go about your business, and I'll go about mine.
We should...
If I were you, I would keep my distance from the Castell family lab. You what? It's been so long since I gave up hope. In his final days, he was fond of going out into the wilderness. and increasingly less fond of returning. Mother seemed to understand, but I never did. That was an old grudge to nurse. At least he came to terms with it in the end. Maybe I'll visit him one day, when I find my courage. At least now I can. You could have left me wondering, but you didn't. Thank you, Godlike. From the bottom of my heart. Try not to involve yourself in our affairs. The short answer is yes, I'm aware. And I've tolerated it, up to a point. We are a community of animancers. Among other things, we have a healthy respect of the dead. I have no wish to anger the departed. But then again, my first responsibility is to the living. Does what I think matter to you, Envoy? Perhaps you're right. I'll have a word with Rosanna. She's not in trouble, but clearly we need to discuss our priorities. Thanks for your concern. The Steel Garrote? Here? Well, well. Apparently nature is not the only foe in Emerald Stair. Worse, my rangers turned a blind eye to it. Satisfy my curiosity. Why am I hearing this from the Adiran envoy? Don't you and the Steel Garrote share the same master? For my sake, I'm glad to hear it. Take this with my gratitude. And let us pray this is the last we've seen of the Steel Garrote.
Even if we want to stop them, we may not be able to.
I'm Valiant. It's the principle of the thing.
What's that saying? You'll catch more flies with honey?
Are the Adirans the flies here?
You know what I mean.
I do. Now go make yourself useful.
Ado, welcome to my...
You see? Their envoy is in Fjord.
That doesn't mean we need to surrender to them, does it? I had a feeling you were up to more than diplomacy.
The Adirans send more forces to the living lands every week. Whether we like it or not, they're coming. Probably to stay. We'll be better off if we can form some kind of treaty with them.
Adir doesn't have alliances. They only have grave rooms. To do what with?
To protect ourselves. It's dangerous out there.
Whatever you say, dear.
Welcome back. Care to take a look around?
I hope I'm right. I shudder to think what will happen if I'm not.
For an Adiran, you're very resourceful, and a more than capable companion for poor Giada. Very few, save for old Quilici, and he's like a father. Now that I've got the heart, my thirsty invention will drink deeply of its essence. All that's left to do is calibrate it. First things first, let's have a look at your soul. I'm going to ask some questions to induce a metaphysical quiver. No, not to worry, just testing your reflexes. Let's start with an easy one. You wake up on a beach, looking up into the sun. Your hands are covered in blood. All right. Let's try some word association. Tell me the first thing that comes to mind. Pendulum. Chrysalis.
A spark ignites a flame. An idea ignites a war.
Hello? You still with me? No, we should stop. This has gone far enough. Let's go over your results. Your soul has a fascinating internal structure, perfectly balanced. An artist couldn't have made it better. Your godlike nature is a marvel to behold. God, my condolences. Those two are a handful, even for animancers. What I see is something entangled about your soul. An outside presence that both is and isn't a part of you. It's old, dark, and rather tricky to pin down. Very interesting. That would be closer to Giata's area of expertise. I'm sure she'd love to give you a look. Fascinating. Thank you for getting my machine calibrated again. But you came for Giata's theory of the dream scourge. Between the two of us, she's on to something. Our farms are in great peril. The essence has been drained from the land, diverted, like the flow of a river. And risk joining her in exile? No. Without this workshop, we have nothing. Regardless, essence doesn't just disappear. It must be going somewhere. All I can tell you is keep looking. You'll find what you're after. As much as I hate giving people bad news, that's all I have. Please give Giada my fondest regards.
I'm getting a bed.
Strange how the heart remains warm after death.
Are you as excited to get started as I am? Because I'm very excited. And you got his machine up and running. That's what I call progress. I helped Monto after his wife died. She was brilliant, and he took the loss hard. I'm going to miss him. Sounds like you've met with everyone. We're ready to get started. So, did you learn anything of particular interest? Makes sense. You won't find a better source of energy. Look at us. Barely even started, and already we're making progress. Monto's machine is working, Elia will keep an eye on her revenants, and Yvette and Remy are providing us an alibi. Under the circumstances, the two are not so different. I needed those animancers for more than their expertise. Monto's invention nullifies spiritual interference. Having it up and running means we won't get any false signals. Whenever I tap into an Adra pillar, Elia's farmhands tend to get a little bitey. Thanks to you, they won't be a problem. And then there's Yvette and Remy, the governor's eyes and ears. In exchange for privacy, I gave them a test subject. I'd call that a good day's work. Animancy takes a lot of preparation. You might only have one chance to run through an experiment. Now we just need the right equipment for the job. When my parents died, they left me their life's work. An invention like no other. The phantasmal focus. Think of it as a spiritual tuning fork, or a dowsing rod. It has many functions, some more obvious than others. The problem is it's in the basement. I haven't gone down there since the accident. Since they died.
I'm sure everything's fine. It's just a spooky death basement.
I would get it myself, but I'm not ready to face what's down there. Right now, I would rather focus on the work ahead of us. The door to the basement is just outside, around the corner. Of course, you'll need a key. Please excuse the mess. I don't go into the lab anymore.
That's where her parents died. I'm glad we can spare her from having to go back.
Okay, walking into the basement of an animancer I just met. Right, feels great.
Something's not right here. Stay ready.
Haven from the blight. Who grows here?
I feel pretty certain that those people aren't supposed to be plants.
What a horrific fate.
Gods. We can leave now, right?
Poor Giada. To think she's been living with this right under her nose.
I don't. Anyone know what happened back there?
I think those were Giada's parents, or whatever's left of them.
So they're dead?
Or something like that.
Gods, I can't believe this.
You're back. You found it. You actually found my inheritance. Did you see my mother and father? Are they still there? I'm sorry. For what it's worth, I don't think you were in any danger. All that's really down there is an unhappy memory. One that keeps on growing. For the time being, that would be best. With the phantasmal focus, I can finally tap directly into the essence of the living lands. I can also use it to smack around anyone who gets in our way. The only thing we're missing now is an Adra pillar, and I know the perfect one. Naku Tedek, the old godless ruin west of Fjord. There should be some equipment waiting for us. Before we head out, let's make the most of our time in Fjord. No telling how long we'll be gone. I almost forgot. Someone gave me a letter for you. They said it was for the Envoy's eyes alone. Why? Is it from your secret admirer? Not to worry. I know the meaning of discretion. And I hate to be a problem, but I do my best work in small groups. Chalk it up to performance anxiety. That was not my finest hour. I was so angry. Mistakes were made. When it comes to the Dream Scourge, I don't want there to be any mistakes.
Sounds good. I need to do some hunting anyway.
Once we're all together, we should trade ghost stories. Best way to get acquainted. In the meantime, let's be off. Thank you again for letting me join you. An Animancer never misses an opportunity to embrace the unknown. Still, being an Animancer feels different without Fior Messiverno. For the first time, I don't have to prove myself to anyone. It'll take some getting used to, that's for sure. At least now I have a place I can call my own. Good, because I have a lot of research to do, and this could take a while. Not to change the topic, but this little adventure of ours, will it be dangerous? Well, I never expected to live forever. My mother and father taught me how to defend myself, among other things. When you need me, I'll be ready. I hope so, anyway. Anything in particular? Ah, you want a story? Very well. Settle in. It all started about 50 years ago, in the great city of Spirento. A young nobleman by the name of Maxim Vidaro sought to inherit a distinguished government position. We'll get to that. A distant cousin cheated Maxim out of the title. He was devastated, his political future uncertain. No one lifted a finger to help. Not the banks, not the merchants, or the politicians. So, Maxim did what Valians do best. Maxim plotted his revenge. They say he prayed to Scan, the effigy, god of rebellion and defiance, to ask for a blessing. And Scan answered. Take their best and brightest, their heirs, their scholars, their futures, to the far side of the world, never to return. And Maxim did just that. He gathered a following and left the Valian republics, giving thanks to his dark god. We prefer to call it an intellectual haven of free thinkers, but it's true that most of us are Animancers. Spirento was full of Animancers, many of them in debt, and Maxim was a wealthy patron. They needed each other. So the Animancers followed Maxim all the way out here, including my parents, Quilici, and others around town. At the time, this place was an Animancer's dream. No oversight, limited government, and soil rich with essence. 40 years later, Maxim vanished. They say the effigy came to collect his soul. Of course, you and I know better. He died peacefully, content that what he made would outlast him. His son has been in charge ever since, for better or worse. His father had the advantages of growing up in Valian society. So did mine. He and I might squabble in public from time to time, but we're both just figuring it all out as we go. Thanks for listening. We should do this again.
I love a good ghost story. Just not the dreams I have afterwards.
Hadn't heard all that before. Probably a lesson or two in there.
One of these days you'll have to tell me an Adiran ghost story. You learn a lot about people by what scares them. Let me think. Quilici has a girlfriend, as cute as a button, and as smart as an archmage. That isn't a secret, I'm just happy for him. Have you heard of the incident at Beldereno Pass? 20 settlers lost their lives in a winter storm. Ever since, people have heard ghostly cries from a nearby cave. Fascinating, isn't it? Tragic, of course, but fascinating. Sorry to disappoint you, but I haven't heard anything new of late. Being an outcast means being out of the loop. What do you want to know? Ah, a simple question with a very complicated answer. The device is attuned to the spiritual energy of the living lands, much like a compass to magnetic north. But essence is chaotic by nature. As you saw with your own eyes, imposing order on chaos is not without risk. Not for long. Don't get me wrong, this invention is a small miracle, but it isn't enough. The phantasmal focus was supposed to be the start of something grand. One lever of a device that exists only in theory. Perhaps it should remain that way. That little island off of Dawnshore? None that I know of. Ignato Castle led the Valian trading company in the Deadfire Archipelago. Among other things, he invested in the future of animancy, and apparently he had interests here. He had some ideas about moving great distances in the blink of an eye. As far as I know, he was unsuccessful. Animancy and ambition are a dangerous mixture. Intoxicating, but dangerous. Afraid not. I've heard a lot of contradictory stories coming out of the Deadfire in recent years. Some say Castle is still in power, while others think his second-in-command took over the Valian trading company. You know how it is. Wherever there's conflict, there's bound to be misinformation. I hope not. I wouldn't want my family associated with speculation, corruption, and whatever else happened in the Deadfire. We have enough problems already. Unfortunately, that's all I know. Whether or not Castle succeeded, I don't think it's folly to dream. Anyone in particular? I warn you, I'm not the best judge of first impressions. We haven't been together long, but I think I have you figured out. In Paradise, you killed your killer. Some would call that justice. Others would call it vengeance. But who am I to judge? In your shoes, I might have done the same. Fior Messiverno tolerates you well enough. No doubt thanks to my influence. Of course, all I know is what you've done. You may not think these choices reflect who you are. At the end of the day, you shouldn't care what anyone thinks. All that matters is how you see yourself. Kai is a useful fellow. We need people like him to keep you grounded. Just not too grounded. On the surface, Kai is all charm and confidence. You feel good knowing he's around. But there's something deeper. Something in his core that he guards from everyone. Maybe even himself. Kai wears his confidence like a mask. We all do. No one wants to project their frailties. But in his case, hiding behind it amplifies his better qualities. So I say, let him have his mask. If there's another side to him, he'll show us when he's good and ready. No need to rush a natural process. Marius is working through something. An old wound that hasn't healed. A search for forgiveness? Who knows? He's a tough fellow, but I wouldn't put too much pressure on him. Good question. Mental and emotional pressure, specifically. Marius could hunt the great western stag if he set his mind to it, but his own feelings elude him. When he wants to find himself, give him room to do so, but don't push him. Just be there to catch him. I've spilled all the gossip I know. Ask me again when there's a new face in camp. Now that you mention it, I did try and awaken my soul to become fully aware of my past lives. Every animancer tries and fails. It's practically a rite of passage. So, one evening, I crept into the workshop and cobbled an invention together from spare parts. Amateur work. Then I turned it on. Big mistake. The next thing I knew, it was morning. I was floating in the fountain, and my head was pounding like a drum.
You don't need animancy for that. Just rum and a crew on shore leave.
That answers a lot of questions, honestly.
Sometimes I wonder, what if it actually worked? What if all of this happened before, and I'm just reliving the events of a past life? I try not to think about it too much. I suppose you deserve to know, after what I put you through. My mother wanted to expand Fiore's agriculture. Feeding Emerald Stair wasn't ambitious enough. She wanted to feed the world. She thought she could break the wilderness, using animancy as the whip. Turn the living lands into a garden. Yes, as something always does. After my father put the finishing touches on the phantasmal focus, she was impatient to get started. After all, whoever controls the spirit of the living lands has nature in the palm of their hand. She was very kind, but there were days when she lived in her head, and days that stretched into weeks. Emerald Stair was just the beginning to her. My father thought she was brilliant. Others thought she was mad. I think she was a victim of her own ambition. She wanted so much, and there was so little time to achieve it. Theoretically, her plan should have worked, but the living lands had other ideas. When she used the phantasmal focus, theory collided with reality. Everything went wrong. No. To my knowledge, the accident was no everyday occurrence. But neither was the experiment. My mother transgressed on nature, on existence itself. Still, I don't understand what went wrong. When I do, then I can finish her work. I was 17. That makes it... Gods, has it been 13 years already? After they died, I wouldn't go near a lab. It was ages before Quilici got me to crack open a book. I have a lot of catching up to do in my studies. Need to make up for lost time. I can't rule anything out, but I suspect the Dream Scourge had something to do with it. It lives in the essence of the living lands, corrupting whatever it touches. And if I'm right, that means it's been here a long time. Or the forces behind it. Don't worry. I've lived with it for a while now. I thought my family's research could help Emerald Stair. That it could banish the Dream Scourge from our lands. Of course, Vidaro wouldn't even give me a chance. He was afraid of history repeating itself. Still, I'm hopeful. This legacy of mine could change animancy as we know it. And something tells me I'm close to a breakthrough. Closer than my mother ever got. I hardly think your Emperor would approve. Good thing he's on the other side of the world. No Animancer has engineered an ecosystem before. Maybe, with a little luck, I could be the first. What's on your mind? Pleasant dreams. I can't believe it. Ranger Dorso, a traitor to Fior Messiverno. And you let her go. Tell me, do you have any respect for the autonomy of the Living Lands? Or are we just the Empire's plaything? You represent the Emperor. Act like it. We'll discuss this another time. If and when I have the mental energy to deal with you. I hope no one minds. I made myself at home.
Don't mind at all. It's good to have you. Tell us a bit about yourself, Giada.
Let's see. A few things about me. I enjoy long conversations, and my favorite season is autumn. Apparently, I also snore, which annoys some people.
So do I. Glad it won't just be me now. We should pitch our tents on either side of Marius. The drone really helps him sleep.
Right, that's me. And the first rule of camp is never listen to Kai. He's a blessed Nimdude of the highest order.
If anyone needs their soul tinkered on, don't hesitate to ask. I'm rather good with souls.
I'll take your word for it.
Between the two of us, thank you for helping Yatsli reach that vase. Maybe it seems like nothing to you, but to her it's everything. When you consider how many Orlans and dwarves there are, it's outrageous that we build so high off the ground. She's very special to me. Don't let her size fool you. On the inside, Yatsli stands as tall as a mountain. One of these days, she's going to change the world, shake things up. And I'll be at her side, grinning like a fool. Anyway, thanks again. You too.
Envoy? Hard to imagine what Giada's going through right now, with her parents and all that. I mean, I have no idea what actually happened there, but she lost her people. She'll need time to get past that. And she deserves it. Right, changing the subject. Right. I'm sure you'll find it absolutely gripping. Go ahead. I'll tell you whatever you want to know. As you know, Kai and I have worked together in the past. It's a blessed miracle he never got me killed. Honestly, he's a good guy. A bit too quick to ask questions for my taste, but... Kai's good enough. Tell him I said that I'll cut a hole in your water skins. Ask away. Right, changing the subject? Right. I'm sure you'll find it absolutely gripping. Go ahead. I'll tell you whatever you want to know. Giada's a mystery to me. Animancers give me the vricus, and for good reason. Most of them would just as soon turn your soul into jewelry as look at you. Giada seems different. She's smart, thoughtful, and she's got a spine, too. You can tell when someone needs extra help out here, and she doesn't. So, yeah, I don't understand her, but I guess I don't have to, really. Thanks for talking.
I wish you could have seen Emerald Stair in better times.
What was it like? I've only passed through a few times over the years.
The evenings were cool. Fish leaped into our nets. Emerald Stair was everything.
Pleasant and abundant. Sounds like the fables old trenchers used to tell about Deadfire. Paradise.